This time for my favourite factions, I want to talk about Grannies. And full disclaimer here, there's going to be many lines that I say in this video that if it weren't for Smash Up you would just never say, such as I want to talk about Grannies, the Granny engine. So that's one of the bizarre, fun things about Smash Up, and you do need that context. Now, I know that Grannies may be a surprise for some people. They're often a faction that people feel are underpowered, and there are often calls for Grannies to get a Titan. Given that they're one of my favourite factions, you can probably guess that I don't really buy into that idea. Grannies are a niche, and I think that too many people have the idea that factions need to pair well with most of the game to be considered good, and if they don't have loads of universal pairings then they're not good. Smash Up is too diverse for everything to pair well with everything else. You do need that discovery in the game to maintain interest. A big part of the game is trying one faction with another and seeing how it works out. If everything is good with everything else, then you lose out on that. So it's okay to have factions that do a particular thing well and need certain pairings to really excel, and outside of those pairings they don't perform particularly well. Just as long as those pairings aren't too few and far between, it's completely fine in my book. So why do I like the Grannies? Well, I don't think there's a better feeling in Smash Up than when you've got the Granny engine running smoothly. With Double Granny and Matriarch in play, the engine, the faction, and the pairing just roars into life. Getting the setup right can take a little bit of time, but stacking your deck with a Granny and then drawing extra cards every single turn is tantamount to cheating, and you can effectively handpick the cards that you draw so that you always draw as optimally as possible. The other good thing about this engine is that it's so unassuming. They're not abilities that other players try and stop at all costs. Looking at the top card of your deck each turn and placing it onto the top or bottom, wow, who cares? But actually, without that talent, the power of the Granny engine drops away enormously. And that's the same for Matriarch. It's a bit more obvious that it's a good card, but if other players see that you're discarding cards potentially with the talent, they may think that you aren't getting much benefit from it. And again, it's not as in your face or as visibly good as other King minions can be, so it does draw less attention. And it's a minor point, but it's an important one. I cannot stress enough though, you must pair Grannies with a faction that does not or only minimally shuffles the deck. All the shuffle cards that they do have are weak enough that you don't need to play them. If you don't do this, and you pair Grannies with a faction that shuffles the deck every single turn, or shuffles the deck a lot, then of course Grannies are going to be underwhelming and weaker in that pairing. The shuffling is anti-synergy, you're actively hurting the pairing. For those factions that meet the criteria though, Grannies are one of the strongest support factions in the game, and one of the best pairings for those factions. The consistency and draw power that they offer mean that you will always reach your best cards and always achieve your combinations payoff. I talk a lot on this channel about card draw being such an important element of the game, and Grannies are the best draw faction in the game because they not only bring a lot of draw power, but they also improve the quality of each draw through their deck manipulation. And in theory in Smash Up, while no card is a bad card, there are certainly cards that are better than other cards, and there are certainly cards that are better for certain situations than others, and the Grannies just help you to always find those better cards. Looking now at some of the cards, there's a lot to be excited about with the faction. Matriarch is an unbelievably good card. It's one of the strongest King minions in the game in my opinion, and it's one of the best targets for Mild-Mannered Citizen. You are aiming to find Matriarch as quickly as possible. Keep it in play as long as possible, and use the talent as many times as possible. Unless there's some overwhelming reason not to, perhaps setting up a big play, you should be using this talent every single turn. You're accessing an extra 2 cards every turn, and yes, you may hit actions because you can't stack your deck fast enough, but that's absolutely fine. And the reason it's fine is that that action was on the bottom of the deck anyway. You weren't drawing that card, so it's not like you really lost anything through doing that. Chicken Soup is the best recovery card in the game, bar none. It made it to our best card in Smash Up Final, and it made it into my All-Star faction deck for good reason. This card can put any 2 cards from your discard pile into your hand at the end of your turn, and that's just amazing. There are no restrictions, it's any 2. Knitting Circle is the best action removal card in the game, removing up to 3 from any bases and minions in play, and giving you a card draw for each that you remove. Always Remit Grannies gives you a great special to get your best minions back. It's not often a base will break where you had more than 3 minions, so most of the time this will get you back all of your minions at the base, again with no restrictions. So not only do Grannies bring draw, deck manipulation, recovery and action removal, but they also offer universal protection, as well as extra plays, and in particular loads of extra action plays. There is a lot to like here, and with the right partners the Grannies bring so much to the table. Don't let a poor partner choice sour your perception of the Grannies. Look through the faction. If they have 2 or less shuffling cards, then the Grannies should be high up on your partner list. What do you think of the Grannies? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.